Good morning. Happy Tuesday. So, somebody asked one of my only staff at this point, if I actually eat all that fruit that's behind me. They said, man, Tim's got a ton of fruit back there. Does he actually eat all that? Well, yes, we do. We do eat all of it. So, let's talk about health again. We've done this before, but repetition's the mother of skill. Let's go through the fundamental principles of health. And when we talk about health, there's different ways to look at it. For some people, health might be how you look. Are you ripped? Do you have a six-pack? Do you have that stuff? Some people, it might be strength. How much can you live? When we're talking about health, we're talking about vitality. We're talking about energy, and we're talking about living a long life, living a long, healthy life, disease-free. Disease comes from dis-ease, which means when cells get out of whack, they mutate and become diseased or diseased. So how is it that you try to avoid that? Well, there's several basic fundamental principles of vital health. And if you follow these principles, it doesn't matter who you are, your health will improve dramatically and your energy will improve dramatically. The first governing principle is living breath. The number one thing that every healthy thing in your body needs is oxygen. And when we talk about health, what are we really talking about the health of in your body? I mean, where does energy come from? It doesn't really come from food because if you think about it, if you eat a heavy meal, you actually get tired. You don't get more energy. Whereas if you fast, you actually get more energy. Health comes from the health of your cells. And there's been study after study after study done where if cells are given the amount of oxygen that they need, the amount of water that they need, and then their waste is removed, that the cell can actually live for almost forever. And the other two things that will mess up a cell is that they cannot be physically ruptured and that they do get the nutrients that they need. But more importantly than both of those is that they get the oxygen that they need and that the waste is removed from the cell. When cells start to mutate, most of the time it's because there's a buildup of waste around them. And when a cell mutates, that's what cancer is. Cancer is a mutated cell. And when a cell does mutate, you have cancerous cells in your body right now. We all do. When a cell does mutate, cells die. You are getting rid of hundreds of millions of liver cells every day. And your entire body every year almost regenerates itself. And it definitely regenerates itself every 3 years, including even deep portions of your brain, which do not regenerate themselves nearly as often as other parts of your body. But you are shedding away your entire body every 3 years and then creating a new one. So like if you have a cell that mutates, that cell will die and go away. And a new cell will be born. The only reason that the new cell is mutated is because of the memory left from the prior cell. Deepak Chopra and his schools on Ayurvedic medicine have gotten people to lose cancerous tumors simply by making that distinction mentally, taking care of themselves physically, getting oxygen, getting rest, and getting the appropriate nutrients and physical activity, but then focusing on the fact that that cancer cell is dying off on its own and allowing the new cells to be healthy and to not be cancerous. They've been able to have cancerous tumors actually just disappear and go away. What keeps the cell there and building is the habits that you have. And that includes oxygen, aerobic activity, and nutrients, and then of course your mental health. If you take care of those things, a lot of times those cells will then die and the new cells will be healthy as they should be. So the number one thing that we have to think about is oxygen, because your body can live without food for a long period of time. It can live without water for a period of time, but it can only live without oxygen for a couple of minutes. And nothing will disrupt cells more than if they're not getting appropriate oxygen and if the waste for the cells is being removed. So the first thing is oxygen. And the other way to look at this is athletes, no matter what type of athlete it is, whether it's a wrestler or a professional basketball player or a marathon runner or a sprinter or a weightlifter, it doesn't matter. If they're an athlete, they are 10 times more likely to not have cancer. Why are athletes so much less likely to have cancer? And that's because almost every athlete engages in regular aerobic activity, even weightlifters and even people like that. They go for walks, they go for runs, they engage in aerobic activity. Remember, aerobic means with oxygen. That's the technical definition. People who don't engage in regular aerobic activity never oxygenate their blood, so the blood isn't able to take oxygen to the cells. The cells never get the oxygen that they need, and so therefore it's much easier for them to mutate and start to become cancerous. And aerobic activity doesn't mean that you're doing sprints like Usain Bolt or that you're pushing yourself. In fact, it means the opposite of that. Aerobic activity truly means that you're utilizing oxygen at 60, 70%. Your heart rate is getting at 60, 70%. It's a brisk walk. That's what aerobic activity is a brisk walk. If you go for a brisk walk, 20 to 40 minutes every day, you are doing aerobic activity and you are oxygenating your blood, and you're reducing your chances of cancer and many other diseases by a huge percentage. But there's another thing that you can do, and it's deep diaphragmatic breaths that will help oxygenate your blood. So first of all, when you take a deep diaphragmatic breath, many of us have this tendency to raise our chest. We think that we're taking a deep breath by doing that. But actually, your lungs go down when they fill. Your lungs are lower on the sides. And when they fill up, they actually fill up going down. They don't fill up going up. So your diaphragm, which pumps your lungs, needs to come out. And when that comes out, it gets the organs and everything out of the way, and your lungs can fully oxygenate. They can pull down, and they can get full of all the oxygen that you need. So when you take a deep diaphragmatic breath, you actually want your belly to come out. We just don't want to look that way because we don't like it when our bellies come out. But that's how you get your oxygen fully in your lungs. So 3 times a day for 10 breaths, you want to take breaths in the following ratio: 1, 4, 2. So what do I mean by that? I'll do it again. 1, 4, 2. That ratio says how long you do the breath. So you inhale for 1 full count, meaning if you inhale for 5, that's 1. Then you hold for 20, that's 4. Then you exhale for 10, that's 2. If you inhale for a 6 count, that's 1. Then you hold for 4, that's 24. Then you exhale for 2, 12. So everybody following the ratio? If you do 7, inhale for 7, that's 1. Exhale for 28, that's 4. Hold for 28, that's 4. Then exhale for 14, that's 2. So 1, 4, 2 is the ratio. So when you do these breaths, your belly comes out, you fill your oxygenated lungs up as much as you can for a count. So you do it for 5, then hold for 20, and then exhale for 10. Why do you exhale twice as much? Because when you exhale, you're getting rid of all kinds of toxins. One of the best ways to get rid of toxins is through breath. Exhale gets out toxins. Other way to get rid of toxins, skin, your largest organ, and it's one of the best ways to excrete toxins. But number 1 rule is to oxygenate that blood 3 times a day, 10 breaths each time. So for 10 times, you inhale for a ratio of 1, hold for a ratio of 4, exhale for a ratio of 2. You can do it while you're sitting in the car. You can do it while you're driving. You can do it while you're standing there reading or working or doing whatever. If you only do this little task, set your phone to do an alarm That's what I do. Set your phone to do an alarm to remind you to do this. If you only do this little task, the increase in energy level and vitality in your life, it's hard to describe what a difference it can make. If you do this and you add regular aerobic activity, which is just a brisk walk, that's all it is, a brisk walk for 20 to 40 minutes, the change in your overall health can be astonishing because you're going to start oxygenating your blood. When you start oxygenating your blood, it's going to get oxygen to all your cells, which is going to give you a burst of energy, but it's also going to start to increase getting rid of toxins. So tomorrow we will talk about toxins and how that whole system works. and people are reminding me that my mother is a math teacher, which, yeah, that's the most math that I can do right there. She tried to teach me trig, and that didn't work. So make sure you breathe. Set an alarm on your phone so that 3 times a day you do deep diaphragmatic breaths. It's the number one thing that you can do in order to take care of your health. We'll talk about more tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.